Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with a brand new early Netflix movie review, and today we'll be discussing the new superhero comedy film by the name of Thunder Force, which stars Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer, and this marks the 5th collaboration between Melissa McCarthy and her husband, Ben Falcone. What did I think about the film? Do I recommend you all check it out? Is this the best film that they have done together? We're going to talk about it all in this spoiler-free review, but before we do so, make sure you're following me on all my other social media accounts, which you can find those links in the description below. If you are new to the channel, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing to the channel, and while you all are at it, make sure you hit that notification bell. That way you can get the alert from when I drop new content. It would mean a lot to me if you all can like and share this review. It helps out the channel a lot, but I also appreciate all the support. And in the comments, let me know if Thunder Force was a film you were looking forward to checking out on Netflix this weekend. And if you've seen the film, let's talk about it. Did you have a good laugh? Did you enjoy the superhero comedy elements in this film? Is this the best Ben Falcone, Melissa McCarthy film that you've seen? Let's discuss it in the comments. So let's get things started in this spoiler-free review. Starting off with my positives, as I had mentioned, this is a superhero comedy film, and I'm not going to lie. I was pretty entertained by the superhero elements of this film, not so much the comedy. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But as far as Ben Falcone, who wrote and directed this film, this might be one of his more intriguing scripts and premises that I've seen of his. I've seen all his films, him and Melissa McCarthy. I've seen all 5 of their collaborations now, and I was pretty invested in the superhero world. Not diving too much into the spoilers, but essentially within the first few minutes, we learned that this world and this superhero world that he's created, this comet hits the Earth. Only certain people are affected by the radiation that the comet gives off. They get special abilities, and the world has deemed these people with special abilities as miscreants, where essentially, we're looking at the X-Men, right? They have the X gene inside them, more or less. But I'm not gonna lie, like I said, the superhero world building, which I'll say the world building isn't really that fleshed out. We don't really meet that many superheroes or villains in this film. But as far as the baseline and the premise, I was pretty intrigued and pretty impressed by Mr. Ben Falcone as in regards to the script and the superhero elements. I'm a sucker for origin stories and learning how people came to be superheroes as well as villains. And very early on with Melissa McCarthy character and Octavia Spencer, we learn how Octavia as Emily, how she's been affected by miscreants and how she is motivated to go against these evil doings and these evil people, and how her and Melissa McCarthy, how they became friends at a very young age. So again, speaking of origin stories, learning a little bit about the journey of once Melissa McCarthy comes across these abilities that she's not born with. And if you've seen the trailer, you see how she stumbles upon these special abilities, as well as how Octavia Spencer gets thrown into the mix. I like to see a hero's journey, and I like that the film surprisingly gives you a decent amount of lessons for the superheroes, the training montages. Again, I'm a sucker for origin stories, and I like when my superheroes struggle, right? There are moments in this film when Melissa McCarthy has super strength, and she uses those abilities for good, but there are consequences to her actions. So I like that the film, again, the superhero elements were surprisingly the best aspect of this movie for me. Comedy, we'll talk about a little bit later, but as far as superhero movies go, not a bad story going on here. And in regards to, there's a decent, main battle that takes place in this film. The visual effects were halfway decent. Again, I say all this because if you've seen my previous reviews of more recently within the last 4 months, Super Intelligence, Ben Falcone does not work for me, but I was pleasantly surprised by the superhero elements of this film. And as far as performances go, I thought that Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer, their chemistry was pretty solid. I felt that they were friends, and they have this kind of rift in the middle of the, or a particular part of the film that they kind of break apart, and seeing them kind of come back together, having a reunion of sorts and learning what they've been up to for over the years. I found their chemistry to be pretty solid and pretty believable, and especially when it came to them dealing with more of, in particularly more of a Melissa McCarthy character, because she's the comedy, she's the comedian of this film, and Octavia Spencer as Emily is more the straightforward character that doesn't really have that many funny moments in the film. But I found when Melissa McCarthy wasn't asked to intentionally be funny, but just have more natural conversations, more situational humor. I found like she did a good role in doing that. The other stuff we'll leave for a little bit later. And also, too, there was another actress that I found. This was my first time seeing her. I think this might be her first film. I'm speaking of Taylor Mosley, who plays Tracy in this film, or Terry in this film. I found the actress and her role to be pretty well done. I was pretty pleasantly surprised by her appearance and her what she was able to do in this film, and I'll leave it it at that. So there's a couple other comedic beats that, and I'll talk about the comedy here in a second, but there were some comedic beats that I found to be entertaining. There was a particular bit involving a particular bad guy, a goon, a crew member of the bad guy. There was his name was Andrew, and there's a running bit that involves Andrew that I found to be pretty funny. And then this was the best moment, besides the superhero moment being very surprisingly kind of well handled. Jason Bateman. In the trailer, I thought it was going to be like a small cameo, but Jason Bateman's in this film a lot more than I was expected. And if you don't know me, I love Jason Bateman. And I thought that him and Melissa McCarthy, this is their second time working together, if I'm not mistaken, because I definitely know they worked together in 2013's Identity Thief. And I thought they had good chemistry in that film. That chemistry kind of carried over to this movie. And whenever they were on screen together, I found their bits to be pretty funny. And again, I'm a big Jason Bateman fan. And him being if you've seen the trailer, his abilities are, he's a crab. And there are some pretty funny running jokes with that character. So Jason Bateman's always a winner for me. And lastly, the story, again, I mentioned it. It's a pretty decent story. It's not as terrible as Tammy or Super Intelligence or some of his other films. This was a pretty decent film in regards to the main objective, to create this force to go against the miscreants. I had a good time with the main part of the story. Now, transitioning into my criticisms, as I had mentioned, this is the 5th collaboration between Melissa McCarthy and her husband, Ben Falcone, and I have come to the conclusion that me and Ben Falcone, we're not on the same page as far as his comedy sensibilities. I do not find his direction in handling comedy to be well done at all. He does not know how to cut off a joke. He just lets it run and run. And I think he relies so heavily on in this case, Melissa McCarthy in all his films is like the main character. She's the comedian of most of his movies. I think he relies on her comedic beats to just continue to just find something to ad-lib, to improv scenes, and he just does not know when to say cut. There are so many moments in this film where the jokes just go on and on for minutes at a time. You're just like, dude, go to the next scene. You're literally sucking whatever joke was there. You're taking it out of the scene. And I just think his comedy sensibilities to me just don't mesh well at all. And again, comedy, listen, don't get me wrong, I know comedy is extremely subjective, but besides the Ben Bateman bits that I mentioned, the Andrew bits, I did not find this funny at all. And I'm just being 100% honest with you all. There's a couple other characters. You have Bobby Cannavale as the king, and you have Pom Klementieff, who is Laser, the kind of the villains of the film that I just didn't care for too much. But again, my biggest issue with this film is Ben Falcone comedy does not mix well at all, which lastly brings me to one of my other points as far as the tone and the pacing of the film. When it comes to blending in the PG-13, trying to appease the younger audience, trying to appease the mature audience, it just didn't mesh well to me. Again, it's a superhero film, and I enjoyed the superhero bits, but it's also a superhero comedy film, and the comedy aspect of this film was the weakest element by far in the film. That's just my opinion, but before I give you my overall thoughts and my score for this film, Thunder Force, make sure to like the video, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the film, I'm glad you enjoyed it. If you didn't, let's still have a conversation about it, and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you get the alerts when I drop new early reviews like this. Overall, this might be my favorite Ben Falcone story, and I thought the film had a pretty decent, entertaining superhero angle, and having Jason Bateman being more involved in the film definitely was a welcome surprise. But unfortunately, Ben Falcone's comedy sensibilities do not work for me at all, and his way in not knowing when to kill or end a joke really gets in the way in this film. So with that being said, I'll give Thunder Force a 2.5 out of 5. It's not the worst Ben Falcone film. Again, this might be my favorite story of his, and I thought he handled the superhero elements pretty well. But his comedy sensibilities do not work for me at all. I do not find him to be funny. I don't find his scripts to be funny. I want to see Melissa McCarthy do more in Paul Feig comedy films like Spy, like Heat. I want to see Ben Falcone. I want to see him direct a film without his wife being in it and see if he maybe is just relying too much on her being there and see if he actually has some funny bits. So 2.5 out of 5 for Thunder Force. Not the worst film they've done, not the best, but hey, that's just my thoughts to the film. But I want to know, more importantly, what you thought of the film. If you've gotten a chance to see Thunder Force over the weekend, did you like it? Did you laugh? Did you not have a good time? Did you like the superhero bits? Did you like the crap, Jason Bateman? Let's discuss it all in the comments. As always, like, share, comment below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. That way you don't miss any of my other content. Hope you all are staying safe. Hope you enjoyed this review, and we'll see you in the next video.